Welcome to the CE Pro Podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. The power conditioning and power protection category might not have the wow factor of, say, audio-video components or the pizzazz of automation programming, but it could be the most mission-critical in a dealer's portfolio. After all, it's the components that are protecting and, in many cases, improving the performance of all the other equipment in a rack. Torus Power's Kevin Main talks about his company's unique power technologies to help integrators amp up their systems in this week's podcast. As always, be sure to subscribe to CE Pro's YouTube channel and hit that like button on our videos, or subscribe to the CE Pro podcast on Apple and Spotify and leave a review. Kevin Main, president of Torus Power, thank you so much for joining the CE Pro podcast this week.
Hey, it's great to be with you here, Arlen. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kevin. So first, for starters, we like to get a little bit of information about the companies. If some of our viewership hasn't heard of Torus Power or doesn't know exactly what you guys do, what can you tell us about the company for those who might not be familiar?
Sure. We spent many years, dating back to the mid '80s, building toroidal power transformers for a lot of the world's premier audio companies. Companies like Krell in the day, Bryston, Mark Levinson, Pass Labs, Macintosh, and a number of other companies. So that's where we kind of cut our teeth. And, we also made toroidal transformers for medical equipment manufacturers, companies there like Siemens or GE Healthcare. And around, about 2006, we started making Torus Power. And Torus Power uses a toroidal isolation transformer to deliver clean audio to audio video systems. So that's kind of a quick background of who we are.
Nice. So a lot of big names that you definitely worked for in the audio world, which should be a good kind of sign of what the company brings to the solutions today in terms of providing that sort of clean power that we want to talk about. In terms of latest solutions and features, what has Torus had on tap over the last year or so, and potentially on the roadmap for this year?
Well, the past year or so has been a busy one for us. We moved our factory. And at the same time, we've been continuing our product development. We've been continuing the development of our AVR Elite series, and this is our voltage regulation series. So the voltage regulation, what we do is we're providing a stable voltage to the equipment, even when the input voltage could be fluctuating. So our products will take voltage between 90 volts and 130 on the incoming side, and it'll output 120 plus or minus 4 volts to the equipment. So just making sure that the equipment has a good clean platform for power. So we've continued the development of that series, and we have Torus Power Connect as part of that series, which is a web-based application for monitoring and control of the power. So you can look at what's going on real time, or you can get reports for a period of time and things like that. So just a little bit deeper information, as to what's going on with the power. In addition to that, we've been developing some of our custom models over the past year, and one series in particular has been a series of custom models that we build for high performance projectors that are used in custom theaters. A lot of the projectors are looking for a voltage range of between 200 and 240 volts to operate, kind of at their peak level. Our voltage in North America can fluctuate and be higher than 240 sometimes, depends on your input voltage and what's happening there. But it could be 245, 250, or even beyond that. So we're developing a range of custom transformers that are designed to run these projectors that'll have an output of 220 volts. So kind of right in the middle of the range for the projectors. And that's been an exciting, new development for us. So we've had 2 or 3 models that we've released there, and we continue to look at releasing some new models in that series.
Sounds pretty exciting, definitely. Kevin, can you explain to us a little bit about how Torus's products differentiate from some of the others in the power category?
Yeah, for people that don't know a lot about our products, the big thing for us is there's a couple things, but one is the technology. What we're delivering is toroidal isolation, so it's not like a power conditioner. We're actually isolating the equipment from the voltage that's coming into that environment, and we're basically providing it with its own power foundation. So our technology is based around toroidal isolation, which is quite different than a number of the other companies in the segment. Another big differentiator for us is the scale of our product line. We're manufacturing products that would be used in a 2-channel audio system that might be 15 amps or 20 amp transformers, up to 60 or 100 amp transformers that could be used in a custom application like a media room or a custom cinema, and even beyond that with some of our larger solutions like our all-in-one panel, where we have an electrical panel built into the unit, so it makes it easy for an electrician to wire up a project and to deliver power to different places within the residence or within that environment. So for us, it's really all about the technology and then the scale of what we do. There's nobody else that does what we do on our scale. So that really makes us quite different from some of the other people in this category.
And so with the Torus Power Connect, was it that you were mentioning before, where it gives insights into the system? That's something that the integrators will use, and is it something that they can also kind of proactively troubleshoot potential problems for their customers and just have a good dashboard for the monitoring? Do they earn RMR potentially from that as well?
So it's I think it's a great useful tool for the integrators to be able to look at what's going on in a particular environment. If there's problems in an environment, they can look and get some reports, some historical reports, to be able to say, okay, we see that something's happened at this particular point in time. So it is a troubleshooting thing for the integrators. In terms of RMR, I mean, I hope that it adds something to the recurring revenue that some of the integrators are already doing, in terms of another support mechanism that they can provide as part of their platform. But for our point of view, it was really developed more for looking at what's happening, troubleshooting potential problems, or identifying potential problems that might be disruptive to the equipment.
Sure. So Kevin, you mentioned the high performance projectors, some 2-channel audio, things like that. Where are most of your products being installed, and is it just residential, or are you seeing traction in commercial projects, things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question, Arlen. The commercial or custom residential area is our largest segment, but we do business in the 2-channel audio world, pro music, which the pro studio market is a big category for us. And on our website, we've got some great stories about some of the studios like Red Vault Audio or Studio DMI in Las Vegas that we've worked with over the past. And there's a couple of new segments that have really developed over the past couple of years. One has been kind of COVID related, and that's the kind of the push towards home studios and being able to do mixing and mastering in a home environment. That's become a pretty important category for us over the last couple of years, and that's because musicians, producers, engineers have been forced to work from a home environment over the last couple of years, and that's really benefited us in terms of helping them develop their platform in that environment. Another emerging market for us that we think has been really exciting has been, the market segment for the video walls, which is becoming kind of a really cool segment now. And with these video walls, there's some pretty high power demands on a lot of the larger walls. So you have to really take care in specifying the right power foundation, and it really lends itself to the type of products that we're building because of the capability of our products. And we have the ability to handle these larger platforms like a video wall. So that segment's been really exciting over the past 6 to 12 months for us as well.
Yeah, and would those include some of the residential video walls being put up now too, in that category as well?
Yeah, it's a combination of residential, commercial. We're working on a project right now with a really large video wall that's being used as in a home theater. That's kind of cool. So we're seeing a lot of different applications there, but it's not just commercial, but it's a lot of residential that's happening there as well.
Nice. So let's dig in a little bit more to those the residential projects, the applications that your dealers are installing in there. And if dealers aren't using, different types of power solutions that maybe they should, and along that vein, what are some of the benefits that they can get into these home theaters and media rooms and things like that, just from changing to a different type of power environment or power foundation as you describe it?
So the real benefits that we deliver, there's three really. The first is performance. When you're isolating the power for an audio video system or a media room type of a system, when you're providing isolated power, you're really delivering a higher performance for the end product, and that happens because of the technology. And a combination of the technology that we're delivering, but also providing clean power. So there's kind of a couple benefits that really drive the performance aspect. Number two is reliability. When you've got the proper voltage that's being delivered to the equipment, when you've got clean power, the products that are being powered are going to be more reliable. They're not having to deal with some of the voltage problems, the motor loads and artifacts and things that are on the voltage line. So the equipment itself is more reliable, both in terms of the longevity of the equipment and the actual operation of the equipment. And then the third for us is always protection. I mean, we're always really focused on protecting the equipment that's connected to our units and making sure that the equipment is going to perform at its peak for a long, long time.
Great. So working with your dealers, does Torus Power, do you guys have, any sort of recommended best practices for, speccing and installing these types of products, and, which products should go with, certain components, certain systems that are going to be in the rest of the design that the integrators are working on?
Yeah, that's a great one. And we spend a lot of time on this particular, part of our business. I guess the first thing with speccing a system and speccing the power for a system is, a lot of people don't realize or don't, they aren't able to easily determine how much power a system actually needs to perform properly. There's a combination of things that happens there. A lot of the manufacturers aren't providing the full specifications, and a lot of people are just used to connecting things to the wall outlet and being able to deliver the power you need. But that's really not what happens. And what we do is we look at we start with what is the equipment that's going to be, used in the particular project, and what kind of power are we dealing with? Are we dealing with 208 volts that might be coming into to a residence, or is it 240 volts, or is it a commercial, commercial application where maybe the power is coming in at 480 volts, or, there's a number of different ways that power can be delivered from the utility. So we're looking at that. We're looking at the equipment that's being powered. We're doing all the load calculations on the equipment to determine how much power is actually required. And then once we have that information, then we can start focusing on, what products are going to make the best solution for that particular system. And it might be, one larger transformer that can deliver, let's say, 100 or 200 amps worth of power that you can run to different equipment racks or locations throughout the installation. We look at all of those things, and then we provide solutions for the integrator to be able to complete the installation with the best power foundation. We actually offer that as a free of charge service to our customers. So they can contact us either through the website. There's a link on our website, or they can contact us directly, and they can tell us about the project that they're working on and the different things that they're trying to accomplish. From there, we'll take that information and we'll deliver a solution to the integrator to provide them with this power recommendation. And we find that it's helpful in a few ways. First, it's helpful to make sure that they've got the right power, that they're not going to have a problem down the road because they missed something on the power spec, or the power spec that they saw published from a particular manufacturer might have been a little bit different than reality. So we make sure they're not missing anything. And also, we're helping them save time, so they're not having to apply people to that particular solution, or to spend time working on the power part of it. We'll do that for them, and we're happy to do it, and it's something that's part of our day-to-day business. We're doing these power specs and recommendations ongoing every day. So it's kind of fun for us. We get to see some really cool systems that are being designed and developed, and we get to be part of some really interesting installations.
Right. It's almost like you're kind of reading my mind with the telling me about the design services and all of that, because that was going to be my next question to you. Is it sounds like you're in a lot of direct communication and a lot of hands-on with your dealers to make sure that they're installing the proper system. So I wanted to ask you, kind of basing off of that, then, when it comes to the installation of these products, do you help out on the job site? And are there any sort of, challenges or considerations that dealers really need to keep in mind, when they're trying to maximize a system installation these days?
Yeah, and it's really important that the dealer understands the power spec of a system, and that's really where we want to dig in and help. If you have the wrong solution for power, then you can have potential problems with the operation of the equipment. But more often than not, what's going to happen is the performance is going to suffer. You're not going to be delivering the best performance to the customer. And that's where we can really step in and provide some answers. Knowing the actual power spec of the system is critical. And we spend a lot of time working closely with a lot of the manufacturers, making sure that we understand how their products are being built. And I guess we have a little bit of a benefit there from our past history with building a lot of the power transformers for many of the audio companies. As we know, we've built many of the power supplies that they're using in their equipment, so we know the power demand on a lot of the equipment, or we know about how the power needs to be delivered to that equipment. So that's really what we're focusing our time with for the integrator, is trying to make sure that they understand how much power are they needing for the system, and then how do you deliver that to the equipment? So, there's a number of different ways that you can do it. You might look at a system that has three racks, for example, of equipment, and the approach might be just instantly to say, okay, let's put some kind of a power unit in each of these racks to deliver the power. Well, that's really not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to look at one larger solution that can provide the power for all three of those racks. And we'll help people understand why that'll make a difference, and what the difference actually will mean to them, and to their customers. So we do spend a lot of time working with the customers on this part of our business, because it is so crucial. And when you get it right, it's worth the effort that you put into it.
Are there some common questions from integrators, or common misperceptions that you find yourself answering quite a bit for them?
Yeah, there are a few. I mean, one that comes to mind is a lot of the power specs are delivered in watts. For example, a system might need 2,500 watts or something for optimal operation, and people do have a tendency to convert that to amps, as a 1-to-1 ratio. Because your voltage that's coming in is delivered in amps, not in watts, and there is a relationship between the two that's actually not 1-to-1. So that's one thing that comes to mind, where people do tend to overlook that relationship, and that can lead to maybe specifying the wrong solution. So we'll help with that to make sure that that's that's not something that's going to be a problem. There tends to be, I think, a little bit of a thought process that the voltage is the same in every application or in every environment, and it's very, very different. I think I alluded to before the fact that some houses or some situations might have 240 volts coming in. Some might be 208 volts. It really depends. A lot of the utilities now, when they're delivering power to some of these larger homes, they're delivering three-phase 208 volt power to the homes, where in the past it used to be the single phase or single split phase 240 volt power. So it's different now, and you have to be able to understand what those differences mean. What does it mean when you're starting with 208 volts instead of 240, or those sorts of things. What does it mean when you've got 75 amps worth of equipment that you need to power, and how are you going to go about doing that? So those are all the things that we try to focus on, and help the integrators past some of those questions, so that they understand how to deliver the right solutions.
Great. And Kevin, lastly, I wanted to ask you, just in terms of integrators getting this type of product in front of customers and showing them the capabilities and saying, hey, this is something that you're going to really need in your high performance audio system, your high performance theater, things of that nature. So how does Torus Power work with integrators to help them, capably demonstrate and sell these solutions in their own showrooms, or however the integrators are working with their clients?
Yeah, and that's that's a great question, and there's a number of different challenges that we're presented with in this with this question. It's hard to demonstrate and show, here's a solution for 208 volts or 240 volts or whatever. If the particular integrator has a different solution in their showroom, or in some cases, maybe they don't have a showroom that where they're able to show that type of a solution. I mean, a number a number of integrators now are working with offices and staging areas and things like that. And a showroom doesn't seem to be as prevalent as it once was. So, how do you actually show that solution? And a lot of times we can't physically do it. So we work with integrators to develop articles and stories about installations that we've done in the past with these integrators, so that we can talk about, here's an installation where the power coming in might have been 208 volts, and we looked at the equipment and we determined that this was the best solution, and this is how we provided the solution and the end result. So we do a lot of articles and stories and things like that that can help as you're working with some of the customers, and they're all posted on our website. And we'll also work with the integrator, and in many cases we'll be in direct contact with their customer, so that we can explain to them how the solution is going to be delivering power, and how that's going to benefit them. We are quite often in the discussions with the homeowner or with the end customer, talking about these solutions to help them understand exactly what it's going to be for them. It's a tricky category for us, because it's not like, we're not just plugging something into the wall. In some cases that you're delivering a certain amount of power through a special connection that an electrician's going to install, and things like that. So it's not always just plugging it into the wall. And in some cases, some of our solutions are meant to be installed in a rack, but others are mounted on a wall in an equipment room, or maybe in a wall behind an equipment room, or mounted in a utility room where the electrical panel might be. So some of our solutions are actually not even in the environment where the equipment is. They could be in a different environment, and then delivering power to the equipment. So we try to explain, here are the various solutions, and these are the things that we have to do within this particular installation, and then try to show how we can deliver that. So bit of a challenging thing for us is to demo some of these solutions, but between being able to demo from time to time, and being able to explain and talk to the customers, or show them what we've done in other installations, we tend to have a pretty good track record on that.
Sure, and I know certainly dealers definitely like working with manufacturers that provide a nice hands-on approach like that, and really kind of help guide them along to what they're working toward. And I know on CE Pro, we've gotten a number of those case studies that show about Torus Power and some of the benefits there, and some really interesting work that you guys have done. I'm thinking of some of the studios in particular. So with that, Kevin Main from Torus Power, I'd really like to thank you again for joining the CE Pro podcast, and we look forward to hearing more from Torus Power, and sharing more of those case studies with our readers down the road.
It's great, Arlen. It's thanks for having me on for this podcast, and for anybody that wants more information, it's simple to just head over to toruspower.com, TORUS-power.com, and there's lots more information there.
To all of our integrator and manufacturer friends, be sure to submit your top products for CE Pro's Best Awards and great projects for CE Pro's Home of the Year Awards. Find more information and all the deadlines at cepro.com.